Yeah. Hey,
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
let's go.
In the morning.
First Scott Omaha in the
Hey,
morning.
wake up. Yeah. Wake up. Wake up, 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 wake up. Wake up, 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 wake up. You better wake up from this dream. Life is not what it seems.
First Scott Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Because the life that we lose in the drug and influence is keeping us off from our greatness. We gotta spread the love and stop hating. Then rearrange these
That big Sherm.
from murder and death to building our wealth.
Shout out Sherman Wells.
Moving itself, milking the game till there's nothing left, and teaching my people to love themselves. I'm crashing on competition. That's an
Let me
interference.
find out Pops beat us on the show.
Said enough. Wake up, 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 wake up.
What up, what up, what up? Time to wake up, wake up, wake up.
Hey.
First Scott Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Shout out to Sherman Wells with the wake
Big
up
Sherm.
song.
Big Sherm, fool.
Yeah, Big Sherman, he can get you both too, don't you?
Yeah.
More ways than one.
Hey, I see what you did there. Stay woke.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome. It's Monday, December the 9th already. And yeah. Welcome to the second to the last show of the season.
Man.
Yeah.
Last episode Eve.
There you go. Last Monday for a minute. So I appreciate you guys coming in. Of course, we got the 7 o'clock hard start, but we like to come in 10 minutes early for the hellos and how you doings. Pops likes to come in 11 minutes early on the hellos, how you doings, because he was on before we was on.
I'm kind of wondering, did you get like an alert or something? You got the clock set?
We don't know what happened, Pops. We saw your comment come in before we even hit the live button. So I was like, how did that happen?
Yeah. You know, had to watch my mouth a little bit. Hot mic.
Especially this morning. Buddy came on playing Anita Baker Rapture album.
Oh yeah.
What's going on this morning, buddy? Having all romantic.
Yeah, you know, gotta set the energies in the morning. You know, can't go wrong.
Best that I got, baby. Marlon Harrison gives us a good morning, First Guy fan. Marlon Harrison, did you see his interview?
No, with Brother Man Haynes.
Yeah, with Brother Man.
Yeah.
I'm like, check him out. Okay, citizen journalist.
Man. Camp creator.
Man, Camp Creator alumni, bro. We're gonna talk about it. Brother Man Haynes. That's what's up, man. I appreciate it. I was very happy to see Marlon in front of the camera. Brother, did a great job. I was proud. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. If we had the time and the resources and everything like we really want, we'd be around interviewing cats like that all the time and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like really highlighting the people in our community that way.
Man, I mean, Mr. Haynes is a legend. Living legend. And I actually had a conversation with a brother of mine in the barbershop the other day, and you know, just reflecting on how real lucky a lot of us in the Omaha area have been to have so many like black male teachers and educators, and you know, the Mr. Wileys, the Mr. Skinners. Man, even the women. I mean, shout out to Dr. Friesen. You know what I mean? Like, she was my principal at King.
That's so crazy that I didn't go to school here, didn't grow up here, still know all these people because that's how legendary they are. It's just
some great educators. Great. So shout out.
Man, Kimber's nice in the chat. She says, good morning. Good morning to you. Appreciate you getting up early.
Hey, see, Sister Cameron, she know what I'm talking about. Esteemed school board member.
Man. Yep. It's going down.
All right.
Yep.
The story got to be told.
Say again?
That story has to be told about, you know, the black educators, you know, in Omaha area specifically.
It's like I said, man, you know, Brother Harrison is on the right track. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to get more of those going for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, go to Friends of First Guy Omaha. Brother Harrison did a interview, and yeah, man, I linked it everywhere too because I was proud. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what we need. We're gonna be hollering at you, Brother Harrison, and also, you know, been a little busy there, Brother Harrison. Saw you out there on the deuce.
You guys,
Christmas in the Village.
anybody else go to Christmas on the Village, man?
Yeah.
Let us know about that. I wasn't out there, but I heard it kind of went off pretty good, actually. A lot of
Look
people.
like it. Look like
Yeah,
it.
we had the luxury of having a little bit better weather this weekend, so it was actually halfway decent
Nice. Okay.
for Omaha, Nebraska. You understand?
Yeah, that part. That part.
Still a California winter with them 50-degree, 40-degree, temperatures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you didn't go to the Christmas on the Village, what did you do? What'd you do over the weekend? Let us know. What's going on? What's happening in your world? What's new? You watching something? Yeah. How
Mm,
about you, Paul? How you doing, man?
I'm about to break out that Rapture album now that you done got me
All
set off.
right. All right.
Giving you the best that I got. I was like, man, buddy came in romantic this morning with the
Man,
Anita Baker
with the Anita.
soundtrack.
It was
Yeah,
just
man.
playing in my head, man. I had to get it out. Had to get it
You
out.
know, you know, I was like I was telling you before, man. 86 was nothing on the turntable, but that Rapture album and Sign of the Times Prince for me.
Okay.
Them was the two. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, I love to hear it. And but by the way, too, like what you talking about with Kendrick. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know those heart part six and all those heart ones that he
Man.
does.
Man.
He brings back the tracks, bro.
Man.
Real.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
If you haven't listened to that Kendrick album, highly recommend go check it out.
GNX.
GNX, boom.
Mustard.
GNX is the bomb. Celeste Butler in the chat says, "One love, fam. What's going on,
Hey,
sis?"
peace, sister. Peace, peace,
Yeah,
peace, peace, man. I don't know if we formally congratulate Sister Celeste about the whole library selection
mm,
situation.
yeah, man. Yeah, that was
Yeah, yeah. Looking
I'm
forward to seeing your work.
very happy to hear about. Very happy about that one. Very happy about that one. That's we need that representation, man. Like I said, the involvement that I've had with the library, I'm just like, let's make sure we get up in here because this, you know what I'm saying? It's this one of them legendary moments that library gonna be here for some time.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Main branch. Amy H in the chat. Good morning. Good morning to you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Hey, yeah. Shout out to them
Mhm.
Heart Ministry fam.
Yep, yep. Christy North says good morning. Good morning. Maggie Miller Jenkins in the chat. Good morning. How was you guys' weekend? How did did you get any family time in? What went down? What went down? Let us know.
Yeah.
Also, Marlon Harrison says the warm weather brought so many people out. We ran out of coats, food, and books. So ran out of stuff in the giveaways, man. Out
Okay.
there,
That's
Christmas in the village.
it's a good sign. Yeah, I guess Kimra got a little piece of that. Says I couldn't get any food Saturday
Say what? How come?
because so many people. She went to the village.
Okay.
Wasn't no
There
food.
wasn't no food in the village.
Wasn't no Wasn't no food in the
There
village.
was
So many folk.
Wasn't no food in the village. What's okay? It sold out of stuff, I guess. Anthony Rogers right in the chat. Peace and grand rising. Appreciate you guys coming in again. We start our hard news at hard 7 o'clock, and then hellos and how you doings this morning. First of all, so just wanted to
Yeah.
see how you guys are doing. Love to hear about your lives and what happened this weekend and all that good stuff too. So, yeah, appreciate you guys coming on through, members of the community. So, yeah, we definitely like to see what's happening. Let us know. Let us know. Appreciate everybody that put stuff in Friends of First Sky Omaha as well. Also got a lot of direct messages lately about
Really?
stuff putting stuff in. I highly encourage you go to Friends of First Sky, put that in the Friends of First Sky page, and also you can always send stuff to First Sky Omaha at gmail.com as well when you have those things. So appreciate that very much. And I appreciate you guys coming through, man. She says they ran out. I was working. So she was working and and they ran out of food.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. She mentioned that they had the one Omaha booth down there. So, I guess she was putting in that work. And you gotta grab the plate first and then set it aside. You learn that as a DJ. Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, don't forget about the DJ.
forget about the DJ.
Yeah, be sitting there eating, listening to the music. Don't even think about the
Yeah.
person
I
playing.
brought people to my gigs, like make sure you get some plates while I'm
All right, all right, all right, man. I DJ some weddings. I love the weddings. They make sure the DJ eat. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
make sure you eat. Like, you're a real one. You're a real
I heard that. Maggie Miller Jenkins says she was since they had a grand time protesting Pillen's tree lighting yesterday. Okay, so she was out doing some protesting.
one. Okay.
Got on the news and Pillen even did a little Twitter post about us. Okay. got Pillen riled up. That's what's up.
Yeah. Ellen Pill.
Love it. Kimber says, I'm getting ready to share a questionnaire I created for teachers with the Omaha Education Association. Good job. Good job. Appreciate that. Also, Anthony Rogers Rice said, Christmas in the Village turned out to be a campaign event, I hear. Okay. You didn't go. Candidates out there in force trying to get their signatures have some feelings about that.
Oh, okay. I mean, we talk about low numbers. What's the problem?
So Les Butler says birthday shenanigans, Sagittarius season. Okay,
Okay.
what's up?
Happy. Is it before or after? Happy birthday.
Yeah, man, appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys showing up here at 7 o'clock. If you believe in the
Yeah.
concept of time, we're gonna go ahead and get up and get it started. Thanks for coming in early with the hellos and how you doing. Love to hear about
Hello.
what you guys were getting down with over the weekend.
Yeah.
And let's talk about some of the things that's going on. So a fresh edition of First Sky Omaha in the morning
In the morning.
happening now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Get ready to chime in. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B.
Paul B.
He's Buddy the God.
Hey.
You are Chet Chimers. Thanks for joining us this morning. It is December the 9th,
Man.
2024, man.
Already.
Last month of the year has happened, and we're in the season of all kinds of different things: holidays, family, giving for nonprofit organizations. Lots to talk about when it comes to all that kind of stuff, because lots of stuff coming up. We got a lot of conversation today. Of course, this is Monday, so we're anticipating the senators, Senator Terrell McKinney, and hopefully Senator Wayne on this last Monday of the season. We got 2 more episodes, this one and Wednesday.
Yeah, man.
We're on a break until January 15th.
Finale Eve.
There you go. We got a lot of stuff in store on that break, so we want you to keep on peeping out, especially on the website firstskyOmaha.com. A lot of stuff that we're dropping there. We're going to continue on with the weekly wrap as well throughout the week too. So even though we're taking a break from the show, we still have a lot of material that's going to be out over that course of that month. So yeah, be looking out. Some new things happening, setting up for next year. It's going to be a good thing. So appreciate everybody that has been following us and supporting us all this time, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Michelle Moreno gives us a good morning. Appreciate that. Mike Lee is in the chat, says good morning, everyone.
Peace,
Yeah, man. Peace. Appreciate that. Kimmer's talking about they didn't have the food ready before she started.
Oh, okay.
Christmas in the village. She said our table had nonstop engagement. That's encouraging.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. Very glad. She said, as they should be. That's what's up. Appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming on in. We'll definitely jump into some or some news here, and then after the 8 o'clock hour, some more conversation as well. So we highly encourage you to stick around for that second hour. And in the meantime, between time, do us a favor and share the show on your page so we can get as many voices in as possible. We want to make sure that we leave room for all the chat timers to be able to have some conversation as well. So again, I highly encourage, if you have conversations going on in between you guys on the chat, if it gets too long, go ahead and take it outside. Go ahead and get together and speak on your own instant messages, so that you guys can leave some room for what it is that we got going on here, talking about here on the show, and also for the guests, respecting the guest time. So appreciate that in advance, and I want to show my appreciation big time, man, just for our chat in general. Like, I did some more looking at some chats, channel 7, channel 6, over the weekend, and it's always confirmed it's such a bad form of communication. I don't understand how the chat got to be like it is, where people just decide they want to say the most ridiculous, egregious things, just trolling, just racist rants, just like it's such a bad use of the mechanism of the chat. So I watch it, I see it from time to time. Number one, to remember where I'm at. Number two, to remember to appreciate the chat that we got. So appreciate all you guys. Definitely appreciate you guys coming in. We'll go ahead and jump into some community updates. First and foremost, I gotta say, I was really proud of one of our chat chimers, Marlon Harrison.
Yeah, man.
Marlon Harrison got in front of the camera and got an interview in with Brother Man Haynes.
All right.
And if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out on the YouTube page. I'll put the YouTube link here so you can check it out as well. But just all the way around, we do the content creator camp last year, and we were setting up to do another one. Brother Harrison was in that camp. We've been trying to encourage him to go ahead with his citizen journalism, and I feel like this is a great jump into that situation. So shout out to Marlon Harrison, Chad Chimer. He picked a really great person, of course, to have an interview with.
Man,
Legend is the legend, right? Anthony Rogers Wright co-signed. He said, "Great interview, big up Marlon." Yeah, man. If you haven't checked it out, please go to YouTube and check that interview out. Very enlightening. He said earlier in the chat, he said that he was trying to be serious, but Brother Haynes had him laughing.
Oh man, oh yeah, he just a flood of memories, man. Mr. Haynes is hilarious. Shout out to Brother Man Haynes, like good times.
Yeah, very much so. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of something that I really just was so happy to see, man. It just brought me so much joy. I
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate it. Yeah, man. It just felt like we you know what I'm saying, we were part of doing something. Also, Ashley Spivey has a event coming up as well that we want to make sure that we get enough people to. December 15th, 1 through excuse me. Senator Ashley Spivey put some
There you go.
name. Yep. District 13 town halls happening December 15th from 1 to 3 at North Magnet High School. Even if you're not in District 13, might be a good idea to go anyway and support, see what she's talking about, see what your neighbors in District 13 are talking about. I was really surprised when they did the door knocking how close the two districts are. So when Brother Pearson came out here, we did some door knocking in District 13, crossed the street, and we was in District 11. We was in District 11, McKinney's district, and so they're right next door, right next to each other, same community basically. So definitely go check that out if you can. Also, something we failed to mention last week that was on everybody's mind. I don't know if you guys used to go to the Maha festivals, but last year they stopped because they didn't have the funds to continue on, and we thought that was done. It actually they came back. Maha Music Festival is back. It's supposed to be happening next year. I saw some people that were chat chimers posting about the excitement, so I figured I'd go ahead and mention it again that it's happening.
Yeah.
And maybe this time around we can kind of reach out to some of the people on the board there and be like, we need you to bring certain folks out this time.
Man, I mean they've got it right a couple years, man. I was there for Run the Jewels. Definitely heard about the Krong Band and had Mac Miller back in the early days. There's some rest in peace.
Yeah. 3 out of I don't know. We need a few. We need a few more. Just saying.
I try to cut up some slack. I try.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just wanted to a quick mention of that. That's all that really wanted to get down. Oh, also, another thing that's happening with the senator Ashley Spivey and Senator Jerome McKinney, District 11 and 13 North Omaha Town Hall, free to the public. Wednesday, December 18th. This is coming up. 6 to 7 North High again. So a few town halls. They come in. They hitting the ground running with the town halls. Like,
man,
these are two people that understand that talking to the people, living alive with one another face to face is the way to go. How to get anything done. So shout out to the new dynamic duo. The new dynamic duo that's happening.
Here for it.
Big time, man. Big time.
Man. Excited.
Yep. Also, an announcement that might affect some folks. I don't know if you know, Howard Hawks passed away. He was a philanthropist out here that really was responsible for a whole lot of philanthropy. Him and his wife did a lot of philanthropy in town. He was kind of one of the big wigs out here that was kind of doing a lot of the donating to the places, and he of course had business. Did business here too. Was always hiring. Always had a way to get people paid. Hawks was a member of the board of regents from 2023 to 2024. I guess he said he's also a co-signer of Tenasca. I know a couple people that worked at Tenasca. So serving as CEO and chairman for from his opening in 1987. So he was kind of a powerhouse here. He's in the Nebraska Hall of Fame as well. And I kind of know who he is because of the nonprofit world. Him and his wife is donating a lot to the nonprofit world. We got a lot to talk about the nonprofit world, and donations and things like that, especially this time of year with the Giving Tuesday, with all the galas happening, and all the nonprofit organizations really working all year to make sure that they can make their money for next year. Hopefully hopefully continue their organizations if they're kind of organizations that need to continue. And this is the time of year that that happens. So this is kind of a blow to the community there. I don't think a lot of our community knew who he was, but a few do. A few that had that kind of been on that level of
Mhm.
of philanthropy in Omaha in general. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and a few other things that's going on here. Of course, everybody is talking about Christmas in the Village and how that went off. We
Yeah,
already
man.
talked about it in the hellos and how you doing before 7 o'clock. A few of you guys were out there. Very successful event. Sounds like everybody was showing up to the booths. The food sold out, all kinds of stuff. Again, let us know if you went and how it was. There's some people in the chat already kind of talking about it. Some of the things that's been going on there as well. Some of the opportunities that people took with everybody gathered. But all in all, whenever anybody goes out to the Deuce and the Deuce is thriving like it is in Native Omaha days,
Man,
it's a good thing.
man, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. Actually, to that point, I did want to acknowledge something brother Harrison said, which is kind of sad, man. The Deuce, man, we gotta keep it alive. He says I was handing out flyers for Christmas in the Village at school. Why did I have to tell my kids where 24th and Lake was? Shaking my head.
How
Shaking
old
my
are
head.
you? How old were the kids?
It's a good question. It's a good question. But should should know. Should be celebrated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wish it was like that. I wish it felt it could be like going to the mall. Like you know what I'm saying. You know where it is to go down and have a good time. So
Mhm.
I don't know, man. We talk about this every year. It could be packed with people down there all the time. So I just hope that something catches and it does that from time to time. Just
Yeah.
don't know. I'm gonna run through just a couple of haps that's coming up because they're pretty important. Definitely check out the Kwanzaa celebration coming up with Brother Nuri Muhammad. That's happening at Assembly of the Saints. This is December 27th. So save the date for that, 6 to 9. There's more details. You can kind of go to the Black Agenda Alliance page on YouTube on Facebook and get some more information on that. But this is free to the public. They're going to be asking for a suggested donation, if you don't have it, you still should come. So it's going to be a pretty important speaker that's coming right here. There's a few other guest speakers coming as well, but most importantly, it's going to be the biggest Kwanzaa celebration in the Midwest,
Man.
according to the Black Agenda Alliance and Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. So shout out to them for that. Also, I wanted to put this out there again. Kimber Snipes, I'm going to put this out there a few times, even though it's not anywhere near close to January 6th yet, but she's inviting everyone January 6th to Omaha Public School Board meeting. It's the night that she gets sworn in, and
Okay.
it's good time for us to celebrate that, but also to show up and be there and start getting used to going to the school board meetings, man. If you haven't,
Mhm.
it's a good opportunity to get involved and introduced to the process of going to these meetings and being able to speak to people face to face, which is the whole goal. So I will put this up a few more times before it, of course. Also, the next sermon with Sherman is coming up on the 15th. It'll be a very intense and graphic. He said I will be featuring evidence from a family fighting for justice after their loved one's murder was covered up as a suicide, with Iowa officials being accused of negligence and poor investigation. Viewer discretion is advised. Definitely check out Sermon with Sherman. He's on Facebook and YouTube.
Man.
Sherman L. Wells page, man. Definitely check him out and can't wait to see this live here and hear from the family. So
Nah,
shout out to
man.
him.
I actually had a conversation with Brother Sherman about this whole situation.
Mhm.
Man, and yeah, without saying too much, like it's a very, very crazy situation. And he says it's actually blown up more than he ever knew. But just small town corruption in Iowa. And somehow they reached out to Brother Sherman, and he's stepping up to the plate and doing what he can. And also, apparently the family of that brother that has passed, out of Chicago, North Carolina, like a lot of people are paying attention to what Brother Sherman is doing in Omaha, on the national scale. So I just
Mhm.
want to, give Brother Sherman his flowers and urge everybody to check that out. Like, check it out. He's really doing, man. When we talk about news gang, we talk about citizen journalism, we talk about telling our own stories. That's what it looks like, and he's throwing in some activism on top of it, some action. So yeah, big shout out to Brother Sherman Wells. Big Sherm, fool.
Yep. Shout out to him and all the work he's doing. Definitely check his page out. With that, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about a few more haps a little later on in the show. I'll
Yeah,
save some haps for later on in the show. so we can dig deep a little bit into what's going on there. We are anticipating special guest Senator Terrell McKinney, hopefully Senator Wayne, for our last visit with them in this season. Again, we are 2 shows away from the end of the season. This show and the next show, and then we're taking a break until January 15th. So we're making all these calls to people that promised they wanted to come on, and we're trying to we're trying to hurry up and get them going. But yeah, we got a couple more. We got one more opportunity really to bring some folks on that we wanted to talk to this season. If we can't get them, then of course we'll continue the conversation next season with them as well. So that'll do it for community news right now. Let's jump into today's top headlines. Buddy, what's on the agenda?
Man, yeah, a few things going on. You kind of alluded to it a little bit ago, and I definitely want to dive into this conversation. Might even have to roll this over into the second hour. Coming out of Flatwater Free Press, man, quite a bombshell. If you haven't been paying attention to what's going on with the Buffett Empire, again, Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, as he's called, has made an announcement that he's passing his fortune down to Susie and the Sherwood Foundation, at least a portion of it, a huge portion of it. What does that mean for North Omaha? Again, there's a lot of conversations about Omaha being a nonprofit town.
Pretty much.
One of the nation's largest philanthropists coming up will be in Omaha. What does that mean? What does that mean? Definitely want to dive into that conversation. Also, speaking of mega developers, going from Susie over to what's going on with the business park. Again, it's been reported by KETV3. And neighbors are still awaiting answers. Actually, we spoke to Senator McKinney, put some respect on his name last week, and learned that the conversation and really back and forth is still ongoing between OEDC and Inland Port Authority. So definitely, hopefully, we can get an update from Senator McKinney on that situation and hear from the residents who are kind of hanging in the balance in that whole situation, the ones that really matter, if you ask me. So definitely be talking about that. Also, we put out a filler on the weekly wrap and the survey asking all of you, what would you like to see? What kind of news would you like to talk about or hear about? And one of the biggest responses we got was actually environmental news. So I kind of pulled this one for all of you. And this is quite interesting. The Attorney General of Nebraska is joining several other attorney generals to sue BlackRock. And if you know about BlackRock, very, very interesting situation about their involvement in coal. Again, they're saying that they're suing over what's called the woke climate action efforts. Yeah, I'm conflicted on this one, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about
BlackRock is getting sued for being too woke.
Man, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, Paul. I'm trying to make sense of it, man. Yeah. So we'd definitely love to hear your thoughts on that one. Also coming out of the news, a shout out to Ashley Spivey, Senator Ashley Spivey. Put some respect on her name. As you see, she's already very active politically with the town halls, but also still active with her organization, IB Black Girl. Again, taking a step towards improving childcare in the state, something we talk about very often, especially all those that got babies at home. You understand the importance of childcare to get other things done. It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Big time.
So we'll be talking about that and more throughout the show. Of course, if there's anything on your hearts and minds, feel free to drop that into the chat. We'll try to get into that in the second hour. In the meantime, between time, Paul B. See the chat doing some things.
Say again.
I see the chat doing some things.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like they kind of kicked me off of seeing. There was some chats that were there. I've switched screens, came back, and they were gone. So I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, anything standing out to you, I'll go ahead and set up for the break. But anything standing out to you, go ahead and
Just want to acknowledge Brother Michael Watts coming on. Top of the morning to you.
Morning.
Yeah. Apparently talking to Sister Maggie Miller Jenkins, says I heard about it on the news. Applaud you guys publicly speaking out. Respect. Okay. Well, thank you. Not quite sure what
No,
this.
he's talking about her.
Okay.
Maggie Miller Jenkins was engaged in some protesting yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They hit the news. So that's what's up.
Yeah. Hey, that's what we like to see. Chat chimers getting active. That's what it's about.
Boost.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Also, a big thank you to Brother Anthony Rogers Wright correcting me on that. Attorneys General. I should have known better than that. Thank you for that. He also says this is how Warren is preventing his money from being properly taxed and redistributed to the people. What a scam. Gentrification on steroids, says Brother Anthony Rogers Wright. Okay, let us know how you really feel. So yeah. Feel the things jumping out. But yeah. Of course, for those of you who might be new in the second hour, again, we try to dive more into the conversation, and here in the first hour, kind of lay out some news and roll through the headlines. So yeah. In the meantime, between time, Paul, you good over there? How we looking?
Yeah, looking pretty good, man. We'll definitely,
Okay.
hit a break and come back and jump into some of these articles. Before we go, a little earlier, Maggie Miller Jenkins was talking about Syria. Big changes in Syria right now. Syria is free from the Assad rule after 50 years of occupation.
Man,
It's been all over the news. I actually have some friends that got friends in Syria that said it's been bad this past couple weeks in a big way. Bombs coming down right outside of their house. So this was a huge change, big news this morning. And right now they're without a regime. Can you imagine? Your government gets overthrown, and you don't know who's in charge yet.
man,
So
no.
yeah, Um,
No, short answer.
right. So, yeah, appreciate you bringing that out this morning, Miss Jenkins, and I highly encourage if you got any more information on those things. I mean, I feel like I feel very lucky that we have you in the chat because you do a lot of tying what's going on in the world to what's going on here with us hyper locally. So this is something I think is pretty huge and something to talk about as well. Figure out how to contextualize that so we can do that and kind of not just feel for our brothers and sisters out there in Syria, but also how it affects what's going on here hyper locally in a big
Hey
way. So,
man, Cop
yeah,
City.
that's what it is. Cop City, especially. Yeah.
Hey man,
We'll
yeah.
take a quick break and
And
we'll
we
come.
understand, man.
My bad. We'll take a quick break and come right back. Jump into some news. Stay tuned. First guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, buddy the guy. Stay tuned, man.
By our actions that we do not intend to play the role that the Jews play. They're a bunch of megalomaniac warmongers.
Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, buddy the God. All of you chat timers, appreciate you guys coming on in. Master Music says, much love, solid. Yeah, internet's interneting for sure. Yeah, live is a trip, man.
Man,
as much as we try to hang on to some kind of order on live, it all depends on the internet sometimes. So it is what it is. Appreciate everybody coming back in. We're definitely going to jump into some more articles here. Imagine Miller Jenkins saying much love, solidarity, and liberation globally. Yeah, talking about Syria. She's on the Syria tip. Israel bombed the customs and immigration center in Damascus the day they gained freedom. Also, some of the prisoners were so isolated they thought Hussein was freeing them. Wow.
man.
So yeah, a lot. This is one of the moments in history, bro. Big time. So appreciate the information.
Globally, really.
Yep, globally. Appreciate the information there on Syria and what's going on there. We'll definitely jump into that more on the 8 o'clock hour and can talk a little bit more about that as well. So thank you for everybody who's interested in coming in, man, sharing information. That's what it's all about. In the meantime, between time, we're gonna go ahead and jump into some of the news that you think is important, buddy. What's first on the agenda?
Yeah. Well, one, I just wanted to actually shout out. There's a lot of things we'll be talking about kind of wrapped up in this story, but I wanted to shout out again, everybody that showed up for Christmas in the Village. Again, we, don't celebrate the deuce enough, man. And we need to. Big time. Economic development is something that we talk about a lot here. And the hope is when economic development is going, that reflects as a thriving deuce, the 24th Street corridor. And so, big shout out to those who are kind of stepping in that direction for, coming out this weekend. For those who missed in the early situation, it looks like it had a pretty good turnout. So, yeah, I was definitely love to continue hearing kind of accounts for those who went out there, sold out of, well, not necessarily sold out, but ran out of book bags, ran out of food and things like that. So, big shout out. Um, And yeah, just about economic development again for those areas hosted by the Empowerment Network of North Omaha's Destruction Show team. After the parade, eventees could take photos with Santa or the Grinch and took free rides and things like that. Again, honoring what's going on in North Omaha, the churches, Dreamland Park, Great Plains Black History Museum, Jackson's Fairdale Cafe. Again, a lot of the things going on the do. So again, this is important for kind of setting up the next thing that I'm talking about as far as what's going on with Buffett and the nonprofit situation. Again, we have to support local communities. We have to support local businesses. We have to support local organizations. And this Christmas on the Deuce event kind of represents that for me. And would definitely love to hear more from again those who are there, especially those who worked it, the likes of Brother Marlon Harrison, Sister Kimber Snipes, who were down there with One Omaha at a booth. Again, I know there's been some conversation about the Empowerment Network, and people have their feelings, but we need to support each other. We need to support each other big time because if we don't, then there's going to be lots of money that's coming in and will capitalize on the things that we're not taking advantage of. And that's kind of where I want to go with the main conversation, really, of today. This is kind of a bombshell, if you ask me, coming out of Flatwater Free Press. Big shout out to them. I'm talking about the Buffett situation. Warren Buffett, again, famously consistent, the Oracle of Omaha. But in a shocking twist, as again Flatwater Free Press reports, Buffett declared that he's willing nearly all of his immense wealth to a charitable trust overseen by his three children, which will transform his kids into some of the world's, not just the nation, as I mentioned earlier, but the world's most influential philanthropists. When the 94-year-old dies. And according to local and national observers, it's likely to result in billions more flowing through four foundations tied to the family, including an Omaha-oriented grant-making powerhouse, the Sherwood Foundation, which of course is steered by his daughter, Susie Buffett, and has already a vital philanthropic organ in the city, contributing to more than $130 million to local charities and initiatives in each of the last 6 years. Actually, also in preparation for this conversation, remember the article that was published 4 years ago that kind of talked about the $4 million or so in properties that Susie Buffett has purchased and invested in, and specifically in North Omaha over the last several years. And I remember, back then there was a lot of conversation about, her investments. And here we are 4 years later, and the rich get richer. Brother Anthony Rogers Wright kind of already let us know his thoughts on that. But Paul, somebody who has worked in several facets in the nonprofit world, and this is also kind of a precursor. We are going to prepare for some conversations about nonprofit coming up next year, so definitely look out for that. But before then, Paul, what say you?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is pretty interesting. We've been ever since we started doing this, even in the Mind and Soul days when we were doing Michael and Michelle in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Every day over there, this was coming up because the first things that I learned about what North Omaha felt about that is that Berkshire coming in would come in and kind of gentrify everything and buying up everything, and there's a group of people that really feel very strongly about the fact that that Susie Buffett and them has been up to no good and on the north side, and then there's a faction of folks that feel like they've come in and they've helped and they've done some stuff. There's evidence to both.
Mm-hmm.
And there's and I think one of the things that I always wanted to do is kind of shine a little light on what it is that's actually happening. So I think it's really interesting that this is going to be coming up. What struck me about the article too was the fact that they're kind of making this out to be like this is him. Instead of him creating a dynasty here, he's trying to give all his money away. And that's something that's a little bit different than that's kind of a new thing here that we haven't really heard a lot of people in his situation say they wanted to do.
Mm.
I'm sure there's some benefits to him, like Anthony Rogers Wright was talking about earlier, like tax benefits and so on and so forth. That that is he's not necessarily just going to be putting himself out, but he's trying to give his fortune away before he passes away. and the fact that he's going to do it through his kids foundations is really interesting. Susie Buffett has a history of being in North Omaha, working with North Omaha folks, doing stuff in North Omaha. You just talked about those properties that were bought up. Some of those properties that were bought up 4 years ago were bought to be able to revamp, rehash, and then sell back to the community, or give back to the community, or I'm not sure
Mhm.
exactly how that worked. I
Yeah.
do know that there's some people that are in some of those units now that are taking ownership. So that may have been the plan all along. We haven't had her on the show and been able to ask that question directly, so we don't
Mhm.
directly know. But yeah, there's been a lot, and I think it's going to be the conversation is going to just really continue because it's going to be even more than it has been, especially with Susie Buffett in particular, because she's been doing a lot in North Omaha and a lot
Mhm.
with black organizations and so on. So, we're here in we know that black folks in North Side ain't a monolith, like we always say, and so we got some people that feel like there's been a benefit, and there's some people that feel like there hasn't been, and we're just going to try to like maybe pull out exactly what's been going on so we can kind of make our own conclusions there. But I think it's very interesting because I think you're right. Multi millions of dollars is going to be accessed. I think North Omaha especially is going to have access to some
Mhm.
of that through what Berkshire, what her company's doing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, going to the chat, it kind of seems like, everybody's feeling like the whole nonprofit town situation is putting a bad taste in their mouth. Brother Michael Watts in the chat says there are going to be a lot of North Omaha nonprofits salivating, hoping their obedience to the foundations paid off. Kind of alluding to what some people call the nonprofit plantation,
Mm.
in reference to again how nonprofits work or don't work. Some people say in the community. Also, Majee Miller Jenkins in the chat, growing weary of rich folk, saying it's hilarious that people are shocked by this. Leaving his money to charity ensures his family has a constant revenue based in human suffering.
Mm.
Charity is simply a way for rich people to wash their money in poverty.
Yeah, that is part of it. If you're talking about leaving your money to your kids and their foundations are all about saving everybody, and this yeah, that's interesting. I really would like to know more about this because not just because it's Warren Buffett and we're here in Omaha, but it's a change up. It's a change up in the story of like what people are trying to do with their
Hmm.
money. For them to even state that they're trying to like they're not worried about their empire, and they want to do this big charitable thing. We do know that some people benefit from some of that charity. Some of it is needed. Some
Hmm.
organizations that we know people who run organizations that get checks from the Sherwood Foundation that do help in the neighborhoods. Can they help more? Can there be more to help? More organizations, more money to those organizations? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not just cut and dry to me. I feel like there's two sides of the same coin going on, but
Yeah.
it's definitely what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
definitely a thing. What do you do when if it's happening? Then you either take advantage of it, figure out how to take advantage of it, or fight it. If it, however you feel about it personally. So yeah, it's to me, it's like there's a this is very interesting news, and there's a lot of questions that are going to come with it. There's also a lot of money that's going to flow into North Omaha because of it. I
Man.
feel like.
But what does that mean? What does that look like? Who does that advantage? Kind of already feeling like, North Omaha is slipping through the community's grips, as far as, the development that's happening around North Omaha and then the lack of development happening in North Omaha, seems a little intentional sometimes. But to your point, there is a conflict. Like again, the Sherwood Foundation, did help with, if I'm not mistaken, the minus soul situation
Yeah, yeah, they were the Sherwood Foundation. They got a grant from Sherwood to start the radio program before we got there.
before we started to run it. So
Part of the
again,
part of the money that they got to start the program was what they hired me as program director from.
to do right, right.
But
So
but
there's
we didn't receive any more money from them the whole rest of the time we were there. But they did
yes,
do stuff like Fun Noise,
right, right.
you
The
know what
Union
I'm saying?
for Contemporary Arts, so that's what I'm thinking. There's the good, but also I'm thinking there's things like what's happening with the childcare situation, and how the Buffets coming into certain communities are maybe leading to community and in-home childcare facilities closing, and the likes of
Right.
Sister Gwen Easter and Sister Erica Felt struggling and not getting the resources that they need. And we've had this whole conversation. So to your point, definitely two sides of the coin. And yeah, just putting a filler out to the people. Like, how do we feel about the Buffett's influence on our community, especially those of you who have worked in the nonprofit sector?
It's actually bringing it back up because we haven't talked about it for a while, but that was kind of like the majority of the conversation when we first started this show. There's a lot to talk about it. I see our brother Jahi Shabazz in the chat. He's saying Buffett's and white structure separated Ben Gray from Ernie Chambers and been gentrifying north for the last 20 years. Are people blind? Yep. A lot of
Okay.
gentrification going on with them dollars, of course. We can also argue there hasn't been movement in certain areas of the city either, until they came in with their money. So it's it's really interesting. Juana Lewis in the chat. Good morning. Says, I remember how Mrs. B from Nebraska Furniture Mart's son took her to court and ruled her competent. They sold 90% of the business to Warren Buffett. Probably rule her incompetent. Probably is what you're saying.
Man, that's crazy.
That's
That's theft.
That's some man.
It's like that. It's like that. Mama
Why
Guy used to work
culture
at a
right there.
bank, man. Mama Guy used to work at a bank. She'll tell me all the time about how folks trying to rob their grandma, bringing grandma in. She don't know what's going on, just signing paperwork. Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get back to the chat here on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pop says, I think it's very altruistic. The amount of money that Buffett is giving makes the tax break minuscule by comparison. The foundations must give money away. That is money the children won't get. Okay. Somebody else in the chat was saying that's a way to give money to their children tax free. And they do have to give it away though. That is true. If they're doing it under the nonprofit philanthropy arm, then it's not money they can keep and do a whole bunch of investing with it and so on and so forth. So there you go. There's Pops. I appreciate your comment, Pops. That's kind of different from what a lot of other people are saying. Jahid Shabazz in the chat saying Sherwood Foundation are white liberal exploitation of black leaders perpetuating poverty and satanic social engineering.
All
Okay,
right.
so
Okay.
now you're getting real deep with that, right?
Okay.
Also, Tony Johnson says we as a community have one of the lowest assessments of ourselves and sell out for pennies just to have white people mention us. Yeah, I think that may be the case in some. I definitely feel like I don't want to. This is nothing to be simplified. This is nothing to be down to one statement. I feel like
Nuance.
there's a lot to this, right? There's a lot to this. I personally know people that are run nonprofit organizations that have the best intentions at play, and so on. So and also nonprofits that aren't when we had Joaquin Fox on talking about Dreamland Report, he mentioned that Sherwood was one of the grants that he got was the Sherwood grant to get that thing started, and I know that for sure, like firsthand. There's nothing. We're not answering to the Sherwood Foundation for nothing on those things. So
Man.
there's that part too, where there's the part where there's people who are aligned with what some of these white organizations are doing, and they feel like they are in cahoots with them in that way. And there's people that are understanding that there's some parts of those organizations that are trying to help and taking that help and trying to do something with it as well. So there's a lot. Pops in the chat says, I think Andrew Carnegie did the same thing with his fortune, which still helps NPR, several libraries, etc.
Carnegie Hall. Yeah.
RG in the chat, good morning. Said money will make you wild out, even towards your own family, the Blumpkins.
Man.
I don't know, man. That seems like that's like American culture thing to me. You're gonna sue your grandma and make her incompetent and then sell the whole business out. Wow.
Mean, which American culture?
I said American culture. Jahi Shabazz says Buffett will have the largest real estate portfolio in the world if they're successful in gentrifying the entire North Omaha.
Man, is that where it's going?
I can't say that, man. There's BlackRock. If you want to talk about real estate portfolios, the largest in the world, we got to talk about companies like BlackRock. for that kind of stuff. So he can own all the North Omaha and still ain't touching some of these companies out here that are even the company out of Denver that's owning up half the north side right now. It's not just the Buffett Foundation for sure. They've been our focus for a long time. Like I said, since we started this in 2019, no 17. When did we start mining soul? We've been doing this about 7-8 years now, right?
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, and this has been like one of the biggest, longest conversations we've had since the jump, because as soon as we start talking about news, we had to start talking about nonprofit organizations in North Omaha. It was the beginning
Mhm.
of all the conversations because of how much money comes in. We've had conversations about them trickling in money and having people fight over small little grants, crumbs here and there. Oh, there was a big thing that happened with the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation and the Sherwood Foundation at one point. There was, it's been ongoing, and I've seen money go to certain organizations that helped, and I've seen properties being bought up in North Omaha. I've seen both. So that's wild. Anthony Rogers Wright said, "Let us not forget that nonprofits were very responsible for breaking up radical elements of the 1960 civil rights epic, and in doing so, divided Black folks for a generation and counting."
Mm.
I hear what you're saying. I feel my focus a little bit more on what happened in the '60s is that the government broke up black organizations, and then these nonprofit organizations came in as acting like saviors, and
Mm.
that further divided, and
Mm.
so li- like I said, man, it's
Interesting.
not just a surface situation here.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can't talk about North Omaha economy or Omaha economy at all without talking about what the Buffetts, what Susie Buffett in particular is doing, because Warren Buffett kind of left that kind of stuff up to her. So whenever we talk about Buffett money in North Omaha, we talk about the Sherwood Foundation, which is Susie Buffett's organization. And now she's about to get, how much is he's trying to give away his whole fortune? How much is he worth?
Man,
Lot.
s says the organization will see its coffers filled with more than 18 billion in stock holdings, based on December 4th prices.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
which will
Oh,
basically take Sherwood into the top 10 largest foundations in the nation, which is right now the 10th largest is the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, reported at about 8.3 billion. So, yeah, they'll be in that ballpark.
interesting. Interesting. Yeah, lots more to talk about this, so we'll definitely get to it. We want to
Yeah.
definitely move on to some other subjects here before, in anticipation of our guest, Senator Terrell McKinney. I think has confirmed he's coming. I did not get a confirmation from Senator Wayne. We hope he will. Not sure yet, so we will definitely see. I was just seeing
Man, chat's going off.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Jahid Sabaz says the Buffets are part of BlackRock and Vanguard. What world are y'all in?
Man,
I don't know about the what world we're in, but the that's news to me if that's the case. If they're vested in BlackRock and Vanguard, how are they part of BlackRock and Vanguard? So
okay.
definitely some things I want to definitely look into and check out. Also, Brother Pena's in the chat. Good morning. He says they control the market, and it's horrible. I can't compete with conglomerates. So Brother Pena has mentioned before that he owns properties, and he's the trying to compete, can compete with conglomerates. It's a tough market out there as far as housing is concerned, especially because of what these big corporations are doing for sure.
Man,
Sister
especially
Celeste Butler said, collectively, if Black people was our own nation, we would be listed as 16. Where is our unity to build and pull our dollars and resources together? Where is it? Where is our ability to do that? The ownership is on us. It's on us. I
man,
also agree that it is on the system. The system also needs to change. There's things that we can do, but there's only so much we can do within a system that is designed to push that down. So we got to kind of attack that on all fronts for sure. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. If you guys want to dive into Anthony Rogers Wright's diatribe here,
man.
then go ahead and check it out. Yeah, we're trying to keep a wrangle on the this particular subject. We can talk a little bit more about it after the 8 o'clock hour, but this is going to be something that's ongoing for sure. So the chat is already at the point at which you have to go back and check it out on YouTube and Facebook in order to kind of really kind of dive deep into what's going on in the chat and what people are talking about here and some of the information that we're adding to this subject in this article. And yeah, I highly encourage everybody to keep looking, and keep talking about it for sure. So,
Yeah, going
yep.
off.
I appreciate that. In the next iteration here, we'll jump into another story. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
I'm Paul B.
Oh, me.
He's Buddy the Guy.
Hey. Actually, speaking of BlackRock, y'all, yeah, don't touch that down.
Welcome back. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Right on. Appreciate you guys sticking with us and getting deep into the conversation. Again, appreciate that very much. Sharing your information as well, Brother Pena, talking about his experience as a landlord. And yeah, it's got to go down. RG still clamoring for TikTok. TikTok about to close, bro.
Man, the end is nigh.
They ruled they got to sell it or they got to shut it down. So by February, we might not have TikTok.
Man.
And with that little bit of knowledge, we'll be talking to you all about fan base here coming up this next week.
All right.
Yeah,
paying attention. I just saw a shout out to brother Hayes. He just announced he reached, I believe, like 3.7 million in investments for fan base.
Yep. Still investment opportunity to be able to invest in a black-owned social media company that can do pretty much everything Facebook and Instagram does, and TikTok, by the way, as well. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, he even offers. We're talking about Isaac Hayes III. He's the one that has started fan base, and he's offered for you to be able to bring your whole TikTok situation over to fan base if you so choose to do that. It stays over on TikTok if that's what you want to do as well, but you can also bring that all your posts, all your conversations, all your photos, all your videos and everything, you can bring it over to fan base from TikTok in anticipation that TikTok's gonna shut down. So we'll see. I mean, you never really know what's really gonna happen with any of this stuff. Somebody might come in, swoop it up and buy it. I wouldn't put that past Zuckerberg or anybody, to be honest. So we'll see. She said, Marianne Williams said TikTok is going to SCOTUS. It's not over. Okay.
I have heard about that. I have heard, some government officials, trying to swoop in and purchase that, which is, a whole nother conversation in itself. Like how the government comes and rules that it has to be sold, and then some government officials come and buy it. Like, okay, okay.
Shut up.
Right. But given also the thing was happening with Blue Sky, I think that's or Open Sky, is that was Blue Sky? Blue Sky, okay. There's some changes in the social media sphere, if you will, and here's the opportunity to get involved.
Big time. RG said Musk is gonna buy TikTok like he did Twitter. I don't mess with Twitter no more, and if it Musk buys TikTok, I ain't mess with TikTok no more. That's just I'm really like we live in this realm here, man. And I gotta tell you, there's no answers when it comes to the social media stuff. There's one fan base. That's to be honest, like that's the only one I'm trusting right now. To be honest, everybody is on every other thing, so we got to be there. But as far as I'm slowly moving towards like even my own personal pages and stuff like that. I'm on Blue Sky and fan base a little bit, bro. Right now, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of moving away from some of these things. Just not feeling just understanding like who's running it, why, what they're using it for, what it's actually doing, and just to know, just to be in this world and understand these things, it's got me kind of moving a little differently. A little
Man,
bit.
I mean these mega corporations, you got to be wary. These, you got to watch what they doing, which is why this next story is very interesting. Talking about BlackRock. See what I did there? Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
like that. I like that.
But yeah, very, very serious situation again, and quite interesting. I'm kind of conflicted on this. I'll be honest with y'all.
Mm.
But again, this is a story I pulled it with y'all in mind. Again, several chat chimers and those who frequent our weekly rap newsletter have mentioned and identified in our survey that climate news and climate energy and environmental news is something that apparently interests y'all. And this is kind of everything we talk about wrapped up in one. Several attorneys general are suing. Actually, 11 states, including Nebraska's very own Attorney General Mike Hilgers, have filed a joint lawsuit last month against BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, claiming the organization's efforts to pressure coal companies to lower carbon emissions and respond to climate change all amount to anti-competitive business practices. All three companies, the lawsuit says, have acquired significant shares in the largest publicly traded coal companies to coerce their management. The lawsuit goes on to say, for the past 4 years, America's coal producers have been responding not to the price signals of the free market, but to the commands of Larry Fink, BlackRock's chairman and CEO, and his fellow asset managers. BlackRock is the largest financial asset manager. Actually, you know, looking through it really quickly, in 2023, they ended with over a few hundred trillion in assets, or over 100 trillion in assets, as
Man,
far as, yeah, yeah, or excuse me, yeah, 10 trillion, excuse me, trillion of assets under their management. So yeah, owns just about everything. But again, when we talk about coal situation, you have to think about North Omaha coal plant and the fight to keep that going, or the fight to keep it closed. Again, the community have been trying to close it. There's been promises to get it closed, and now the can is being kicked down the road. And again, I'm not quite sure how to feel about this, because Nebraska's attorney general haven't, has, I'll say, been on a interesting side of several lawsuits recently, especially those on challenging the whole school student loan situation, which I'm still not over. I mean, I'm trying to get my student loans forgiven, but that's Nebraska's attorney general joined several other states in blocking that situation, and yet here they are suing BlackRock, which is again invested in a lot of things. When we talk about Monsanto, or some of the food that's being pushed on the American public, some of the nonsense being pushed on the American public, is BlackRock. So yeah, what say you, Paul?
yeah. I've been interested in what BlackRock is doing on so many different levels. I mean, I kind of got introduced to that company through some investment investigation stuff that I've been working on, and then realized the music industry. They own 9% of
Man,
Sony Music. When you start to really look and see what Vanguard, BlackRock, some of these companies are owning, they got their hands in everything, and it don't, and for the most part, it feels like it's most of the stuff. It don't feel like they are invested in a bunch of things that are detrimental,
man,
that are messed up. Anthony Rogers Wright is kind of saying what I'm thinking. He said it's quite simple. BlackRock sees the market writing on the wall. They don't care about climate justice. They care about controlling the fracked gas market, which will kill coal. It's a capitalism on capitalism hate crime.
man. Okay.
Cap on cat violence
Man.
going down. Yeah, that when the story came up, I'm like, all right, so BlackRock is being sued by our attorney general for being too woke. What? Say what? You know,
Yeah, yeah. Stay woke.
yeah. Brother Jahid Shabazz is black. I'm sure you're thinking BlackRock of the companies, or black percent of the companies and the stock in the companies that are on the S&P. They are the monsters that need to be taken down.
Mm.
You talking about BlackRock and Vanguard? Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting that that this is coming up. I don't like you said. I don't know what to think of it because both sides. I ain't down with either side on this one.
Man, yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that was what when I get like that, I resort to this question: what does this mean for North Omaha? And you know what does it mean? Is BlackRock trying to come in and be a part of shutting the coal plant down, but replacing it with something else that's going to be detrimental? Like Anthony Rogers saying, is we going to be dealing with fracking in North Omaha now because of that? You know what's the lawsuit? What's the point? Is our attorney general trying to save our coal plant? What I don't understand like exactly what's happening because I feel like both parties are into some nefarious. They got some. They got some. They both dealing in ideas that's not helping us anywhere. You know
So
what I'm saying?
and when pulling this story, you know, my artist mind kind of came forward. Like I feel like this is very similar, and it's funny that you pointed out that BlackRock invests in Sony, very similar to the whole Drake situation. You know, it's like okay, this lawsuit could have some impacts. You know, like BlackRock definitely needs to be sued. Like somebody needs to go for BlackRock. This needs to happen, but you know, is it this way? Is it over this issue? What's the real intent behind this? Like, does anybody actually is anybody doing anything just for the people? Like, is that really you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the reason this conversation this article is going to bring up conversations that's going to last us for years. We going to
Man,
be talking about this for a minute, but I'm glad because we haven't really gotten deep into the. I was planning on in the next follow the money season, really kind of digging into BlackRock and especially Vanguard. Here's what no Vanguard especially BlackRock. Excuse me, I said that backwards.
mm,
RG in the chat says, "Man, look, if you got a 401k, you might see the name Vanguard listed a few times in your portfolio."
yeah,
This
man.
this is the other thing to think about. We talk about these companies like we are focusing on all the things we feel like they're doing to mess up the human race. But how are we invested in them? What are we doing what are we buying that's part of that? You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it's worth looking into because that's where it's going. It's going that there's only a few companies that are owning everything. What does that mean? What does that mean for us? And they've gotten into everything. They've gotten into everything. And now you know where's our our energy situation? What does this mean with how they're in cahoots with politicians on
Yeah,
all of these things? I mean,
exactly.
yeah, it goes on and on for sure.
Exactly. Actually, on that note, Guillermo Opinion in the chat says nuclear power plant. You know, again, the conversation of where is it going? What does it mean? What is the future? Especially, what does it mean for North Omaha? And this could kind of, you know, have a adverse effect on what has been trying to, you know, be achieved in North Omaha as far as the closing of the coal plant. Again, the connection with some of these companies. Apparently, BlackRock, State Street, which is the other organization named in this lawsuit, and Vanguard joined the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative, acknowledging an urgent need to accelerate the transition towards global net zero emissions, committing to work to reduce carbon emissions. So, again, I've seen this Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative a lot of times in a lot of actually news stories, you know, kind of being used to prop up legislation policy that goes towards zero emission. So again, to your point about what's the connection between these major organizations, what they're investing in, you know, the relationship between that and politicians, policy, what we see. For instance, here in Georgia, you can't renew your tags unless you take an emissions test every year. I don't think that's the case in Nebraska.
No, it's against we've been doing it in California for decades, but
It's a
it's not
headache.
don't have to do it here.
I'll be honest, it's a headache. If your check engine light is on for any reason, you will not pass that emissions test. That could mean you gotta pay $1,000 to get something fixed that ain't necessarily keeping your car from getting point A to point B, but you gotta pay this. You know.
Welcome to California.
I'm venting a little bit, but on a serious note, there is a direct connection to our bottom line, our everyday lives, and you know what this means. And I'm pretty sure the whole net zero emissions argument and organizations, you know, are behind the push to close the coal plants in North Omaha. If that's undermined, what does that mean?
Good question. Question that we will probably not be able to answer in this episode,
There
but
you go. There you go.
conversation has begun, and I think it's definitely something to be taking a look at. This is one of these nationwide things, global things, even that directly affect us here personally. As you can see, it's really interesting how we got into this thing with the intent of really focusing in on hyper local news.
Mm-hmm.
The world is hyper local.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's connected. It's all
We can't.
connected.
We ain't living in a bubble here. That's for sure.
Right. 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 Right.
It's coming up on that 8 o'clock hour. Matter of fact, it is 8 o'clock right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we are anticipating our special guest, Senator Terrell McKinney's coming through, and hopefully Senator Wayne will see for the last iteration of the legislative report with those two brothers. This season, we have this show and then one more show coming up on Wednesday, and then we go on a break until January 15th. That's what's going on with us. Highly suggest that you go back and take a look at the chat in YouTube and Facebook. On Facebook, Gwen Easter is giving us some more information about what Susie Buffett has done when it comes to the child care scene. She's been very vocal about that. As a matter of fact, I think that's how I met her. She pulled us aside and says, "Hey, I know you guys got the show. Let me tell you what's going on." And we were able to talk to her about those situations in detail. So more information. That's what I'm saying, man. When we talk about what the Buffetts are doing, there's a lot of our community are like, are you kidding? They're a plague. They've been taking over our our whole situation.
Man.
There's like I said, there's other people we talk to that says, if they weren't helping, what would be happening right now if they weren't helping? Both are true. So we'll definitely keep talking about that as well. Dig in a little bit more on some of these things. I'm definitely going to dig in myself after the show, just so I can kind of see what a lot of folks are talking about when it comes to this, especially the BlackRock situation and some of these other investment groups that are ending up owning everything. It'll be very, very interesting to get that conversation, continue that conversation as well. And a couple seasons down the way, we'll probably be very focusing on it a lot because we need to be talking about where our dollars are going, which is a really kind of bottom line on that. So appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're in the second hour now, of First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the
And
morning.
sorry, I almost stepping in line. And now be the time for us to. We got a few more things to talk about, but we're definitely going to get into some more discussion. So we appreciate you guys sticking around for more discussion. And the first part of the more discussion is going to happen with our special guest who just popped into the wings. Ladies and gentlemen, put some respect on his name, Senator Terrell McKinney in the house. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing all right, brother. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Right.
Got your North High sweater on. That's what's up.
Yeah. I see you out there. Had like a tournament over the weekend or something. What'd you get into, man? I see you out there in the gymnasium.
Yeah, we had a wrestling tournament on Saturday at North.
Okay, how the kiddos do?
It was cool. We placed third as a team. We had one of our guys won, had a few others get second. It was all right. Could have been better, but it was cool.
Hey, cool. You gotta get on them, coach. You gotta let them know.
Yeah.
He said, I gotta run the laps right now.
Right now. Crack of dawn. Oh man. Besides that, man, how's everything? How's the fam? Everything good?
Yeah, the family's good. Everything's been cool, man. Just wrapping up the year and trying to get ready for the new year. So just all in the same.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, cool. I appreciate you joining us today. I was hoping Senator Wayne was coming through too. I think he kind of giving it up. I think
oh yeah.
I don't blame him though, man. That break, taking a break from what he's been doing all these years. I'm just like, yeah, I feel that. The shift of focus is definitely needed after putting in that work. So, but we're glad you're still here for sure, man. Working, having the good fight continuing on with you. Looking forward to the new dynamic duel, you and Senator Ashley Spivey getting together on some things in the same way. You know what I'm saying? And we feel good about the representation in there. I was just talking about it earlier when we went and did the door knocking. I didn't realize how close her district is to yours. Mm-hmm. It's almost like right across the street. So it's all in the same neighborhood, So yeah, man, just looking forward to that and all the good stuff. You really, I say this every time because I appreciate it so much. Like how much I've learned over the course of you guys coming onto the show. And just understanding how the legislature goes and that part of the fight. But even with that part of the fight, you always are letting us know that's only part of the fight. We got all this other stuff we got to do in conjunction with that. And so I appreciate that you always making sure that we understand that point so we can attack things from a bunch of different levels and areas as
Man,
well.
man, yeah,
So
yeah.
No
Got some
problem.
work to do. Got some work, and kind of prepared to do that. We'll be talking about it maybe a little later on, as far as what Sister Ashley Spivey is doing with IB Black Girl. Approaching childcare and attacking that. But have you? They actually kind of talked about it earlier. Y'all too will have a town hall coming up. But have you already spoken about some policies and how you could possibly team up in the legislature as the new dynamic duo, as we like to call you?
Yeah, we talked about different policies and what, both of us are planning to do going into next year and what we could probably work on together. So we've had some discussions.
Okay. Areas of focus. Again, I know she's obviously very heavy in reproductive justice and things like that. But where are some other areas you kind of seeing some overlap?
I mean, around like economic development, empowering the community, those type of things. So definitely overlap there, making sure like we continue, to try to do as much as possible to make sure like North Omaha is developed in the best way for the people and with the people.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
that's what we've been talking about, and that's been my focus going into next year is what can I do to continue the momentum, but continue it in a way that empowers the community a lot more and make sure that, whatever happens, because I've been listening and y'all been talking about developments and people investing and
Mm-hmm.
all that. So, just trying to find ways to empower the community. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned since I've been in office is that we have to do more to empower our people and make sure our people are in positions of influence and power.
Mm-hmm.
That's where change is going to happen.
Man, big time. And as far as our people being in positions of power, what does that look like? Because we talk about.
I mean, it's not just politically. I think even when you think about like people coming in and buying up stuff, what can I do as a senator to make sure that District 11, for example, goes from a high percentage of rentership to a district that, has more owners that own property and things like that because we don't own a lot of property and a lot of things happen because we don't a lot of things happens that we don't really like or we like, man, what's going on over here, but it's because we ain't owning those properties. And how can we find ways to get our people to own those properties and invest into the community so whatever change does happen happens by us.
Mhm. And even before before we get to like property ownership, I'm actually thinking of like just businesses themselves. Even if we don't own the business or own the property, having a thriving business that is paying rent. Because I'm thinking of the nonprofit situation, the conversation that we've been having all show, really, and you specifically have been vocal about getting away from that, and kind of express some. I can't really find the word, but just you're upset a little bit about all the organizations that apply for the DED funds and how a lot of them were kind of nonprofit based and how a lot of them just in the mentality of a lot of people in our community. It seems like we always thinking of nonprofits, and I'm just kind of curious: is there a way to get away from that, especially with the news from the billions that is expected to come from the Buffetts? Do you really see us getting away from the nonprofit situation, especially in North Omaha?
I mean, I would hope so. I personally think there's way too many nonprofits that operate in North Omaha. And for it to be so many, why do we continue to have the lack of change when all this investment is happening? It's hundreds of millions of dollars way before I ever got in office that's been flowing through North Omaha. And we ain't seen nothing but erosion of our community. So
Mm.
I'm not sure how that money's being used. I would personally like to see, more people focused on growing business and employing our people. You can't leave a nonprofit to your family. Um, and it's just more power, economic power for us to do things for ourselves. That's why, I understand like nonprofits are important, but I just personally feel like we just have way too many operating in North Omaha. And even, when we were, going through the process and we were basically, trying to figure out how could we like leverage our money a lot more. The nonprofits in the city didn't like that. They didn't like that we were talking about having a business focus and things like that. They
Why
really,
wouldn't they like that?
because it takes their power away. They can't tell people what they can and can't do in their community. That's why. Uh,
Man, that's
that's the problem. Like we had conversations with them, and they
mm,
want to invest anything unless they had power and control. And that's been a problem. And that's been a problem for the past 2.5 years about all this mess and all this controversy. A lot of it has been spearheaded by the nonprofit industrial complex and people within it that don't want to see North Omaha be successful. And that's been the problem. Like they haven't tried to help. They've only tried to tear down and so like disagreement and it's just a bunch, man. And I just would hope, you know, because I'm not naive and I'm not stupid. That I'm sure people are going to continue to take money from them, and to each his own. I just would tell people keep your power. Don't let
mm,
them influence what you do. Don't let them take away your voice. Like I've seen people go from being vocal to not vocal because of the dollars they're getting.
Mm.
So I would just say, keep your power, man. Like that's the biggest thing. Like don't let nobody take your power away. But my
mm,
focus is not really for, nonprofits because I just overall just don't see the benefit. You know, uh there is benefit for some, but too many have can cause a lot of problems. Even when I went to Africa and I went to Ghana, and they were like, "We don't need no more NGOs. Like
mm,
they don't need more NGOs. They tired of them because it stifles economic growth when you got so much influx of charitable dollars flowing through your community. Like if you got a business selling rice, but this dude, they coming over saying, "Oh, we giving back," and they dumping tons and tons of rice for charity. I can't sell my rice at a good price. I'm not making no money. So it looks good on the surface, but when you dig into it, it's not always good if it's not done right and people hearts ain't in the right place.
mm. So the way it operates now, specifically in North and South Omaha, do you feel like, as you call it, the nonprofit industrial like it's directly antithetical, if you will, or like against the economic development in North Omaha?
1,000%.
Well, I've been kind of dancing around this as far as like trying to figure out the impact. Like, what does it really mean to have a nonprofit town? What does the nonprofit industrial complex really mean? What's the intent behind it? And
Got
is it billionaires being out of touch, trying to do good but not knowing how? Is there real intention about perpetuating poverty? Trying
definitely.
to unearth that.
It's a combination of all that. Honestly,
Okay. Okay.
I would say that we got people who claim that they care about the community and what's going on, but the way they are utilized, if they actually cared, they would be more strategic in how their dollars are being used.
Okay.
That's the big issue. Like we should, if you got $1 billion to invest in a community, why are you just throwing it away? Why aren't you, if you really cared, you really wanted to invest in it and make sure kids don't grow up in poverty, kids aren't, going to sleep without food, you would make sure the economic conditions of that community were thriving or better. You would make sure that those parents of those kids have jobs that can make livable wages. You would make sure that, the housing conditions in the community would be better. It's a bunch of things that I don't think happens. Uh,
Mm.
And it's not like, I'm not saying like, that's why I think we need to empower ourselves, because I don't care what they care to do for us. I think it's us. We should think about what can we do for our community. Like, relying on them is the first flaw. Like, why do we need outside people to tell us what to do with our community?
Yeah, that's I totally get that. It's making me think a lot about just where we, we our experience was when we got Mind and Soul started. It was a program under the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, and we watched the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation struggle and with funding for a long time. As a matter of fact, I feel like
Yeah,
it wasn't until y'all came along and passed this bill for the $400 million coming to North and South Omaha that actually got them some money to really kind of do some things. But we watched them for the last 7 years that we were there.
struggle.
I'm talking about struggle, bro. I'm talking about any little bit of money that we raised for Mind and Soul was keeping the lights on at some point over there. So we've been watching them fight for little bits of money here and there, and not really get any real help for something as important as the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation in
That's
North Omaha.
that's the other thing. Like, they'll give you money, but they won't give you enough to actually be successful and pull off your mission. They'll give
Mm.
you just enough to survive, but they will not give you enough to thrive.
If
Right.
they give you anything,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
And when
and
what they and the little they give you, you got to jump through hoops for.
right, and it was kind of known, like it was an unspoken thing. Everybody understood that we weren't getting help because it was Malcolm X, because it was the mission, because everything it represented, which is a whole thing in itself.
Yeah. And just to finish my thought, it led us to decide that when we started First Sky Omaha, we would start it as a for-profit company because we couldn't really deal. Like we do nonprofit style work when it comes to our outreach and comes to nonprofit news, and we can collect nonprofit dollars from that. Shout out to One Omaha fiscal agent.
Yeah.
And so we can collect some of that money, but it's a different thing because we're trying to keep control by being a for-profit company and also build a for-profit company in North Omaha.
But I heard y'all talking about also, the people who own properties in North Omaha. They own some property, but I think we need to have a real conversation. I know this is controversial,
Hey.
but I think it needs to be said about the amount of properties that are owned by our religious institutions that are underdeveloped and not being developed.
Ooh, okay.
We gotta have a
Continue.
conversation. Like, what
Continue.
that because I'm 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 so fed up with people that own property in North Omaha but don't develop it but complain about the conditions of the community.
Hmm.
It don't make sense to me. So why did you buy this property? The religious institutions ain't the only one. You got OEDC, you got all these other ones, but I've dug into the data. I think we need to have a real conversation about religious institutions and the amount of property they own in North Omaha and what they're doing with it.
And when you say religious institutions, what are you? Churches, schools?
Churches.
And in comparison to like places like Sherwood Foundation and some of these companies out in Denver buying up properties, what was
I think
Good question.
all of them need to be placed on the table, and we need to have a real conversation about all of them and their different levels of influence within a community and how they are, investing, or I don't know if you want to call it investing, but buying property in our community or have property and sitting on it and letting it,
Deteriorate.
yeah. So we got to have like everybody, because if it's a village, we got to treat it like a village, and everybody has to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
We,
So,
and
I'm.
and I'm not taking it away from the Sherwood people because they definitely need to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
To me, everybody needs to be put on the table.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. I just want to put it plainly, like exactly who we're talking about, and I kind of have a mind of who you're thinking about as far as the Jesuits, and there's a lot of feeling about Creighton encroaching on North Omaha. Is that kind of what you're thinking of, or
No, it's not just Creighton. Like, they're part of it, but I'm talking all, like,
Mm.
I'm saying every religious institution or church has property, but a lot of them do, and they have a lot of property.
Mm. That's definitely something we haven't talked about yet. We haven't thought that's a new one. And I'm glad you brought it up because to me it's like a more complete thought when we're thinking about large swaths of neighborhoods that are bought up, lots of properties. We often talk about land bank and their role and what was going on with
Yeah.
some of those properties. But there's a lot more people that are owning properties than the land bank. The land bank is holding. So yeah, everybody who's owning big properties needs to be looked at. Um, for sure. I definitely see that. Any other areas that you feel like the church should be held accountable for economic development in our neighborhoods or
At the
um, mhm. Say again?
at the church,
Yeah.
uh,
Besides owning properties?
mm, I guess I would say, like, as far as investing in the community, I think there's some great things like churches could do as far as like setting up retail spots and things like that. I think if they just thought more outside the box about how they are investing in the community, I think some great things could happen, some creative things. So I mean, just retail spaces, like if they have property, figure out how to develop it to get some dollars flowing for the church and for the community. So I I just think they could be more creative, and I
Man,
haven't been seeing it.
actually, on that note, that's something I did see, especially with the pandemic and how resources are distributed to the communities. And as a senator, I am kind of curious to hear your take on this. Um, when the federal dollars were coming down, it seemed like, especially to get to our communities, it was heavily relied on nonprofits and churches to distribute those funds.
Well, that's how government is set up. Like that was one of the issues we ran into when we were doing 1024 and 531. We didn't. We wanted to try to figure out a more direct route to get it to our people, but the way the state gives dollars, it creates a big issue because they're so used to just giving it to nonprofits as a pass through to give to people, and we were like, well, we don't really like some of these people, and they ain't got the best interests of our community. How can we get around them? And that was the hardest thing, and that's how I ended up going to DED. But that was definitely far from perfect. But it but even from the feds, and like when I went to the White House, was this last year or this year, and they were talking about how they're like trying to get dollars to the states. And one thing that I told them, I was like, that's cool if somebody is living in a state or a city that's, because it's a Democratic administration. I'm using the Democratic administration. It's cool if it's a state that, is more democratic and things like that. But when you're sending it to Nebraska, which is a red state, sending the money to the governor don't work for our people,
Man,
because then it's an added layer of bureaucracy and just a headache that we shouldn't have to deal with. But then you're saying dollars are going to the state, but on the ground, people aren't really seeing it or feeling it because they have to go through the governor or a mayor to get to the dollars. How can we find a better way to cut out the middleman in some type of way? And that's the struggle, because also, if you're not, just being honest, if you're not a white organization, they don't trust you.
hmm
Mm.
And they are going to want to, dig into your finances and be overly critical of everything. But they could start nonprofits overnight and drop $40 million in it with no question. But
man,
you apply for a grant, they're going to give you the runaround.
Yeah. I've
And,
seen that happen. I've seen white organizations get 100 million first, just start up and just get for a drop that big, you know.
and that's the system well, that's the system we're in, and that's the issue.
I'm
man.
gonna jump into the chat a little bit. Kimber Snipe says Mike Maroney he has a press conference coming up to talk about properties on 24th that are about to be redeveloped. Appreciate that information. Please give us more information on time and date on that, and see if we can get some folks to jump in. I saw Mike Lee had a question in here. I think I lost him because, man, the chat's
chat's been going on
today. Yeah. Oh, it was Peyton. Peyton Seiler. Good morning. He said, question for the senator. Are you familiar with the community land trust? If so, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Not too in depth with them, but I am familiar with them. I think they're a good idea if done right. So I think it's something to be explored for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate that. Anyway, like I said, lots going on in the chat here. I'm not going to pull everybody's comment. But yeah, on this subject, I think that's really, we're really thinking about that. Like, I'm glad you came in at the time that you did, because we were just talking about this, especially the nonprofit sector that we got going on. And that's always a hot topic here, especially when it comes to what the Buffets got going on.
Yeah, nonprofits think I hate them. First year, I did an interim study on the oversaturation of nonprofits, and just looking at it, and all the nonprofit and foundation people were calling around North Omaha, calling all the people who they deemed as leaders, asking, could they talk to me, or do they know what I'm trying to do? So it's funny to me, but
I mean, it's a very interesting phenomenon. You know, you got people in need who work and pay taxes. And then you have, government entities, nonprofit entities that are supposed to be assisting these people and making life easier, and seems not to be happening from the government or the nonprofits. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's really going on is kind of the big question. And kind of thank you for tipping that off, and kind of going through the chat. There is also a kind of overarching theme. I'm seeing a lot of people mention accountability. A few people, talked about accountability, and I am curious what entities or what oversight is there for these nonprofits, as far as accountability, as far as audits, as far as who holds these nonprofits accountable, or who's making sure these billionaires aren't just washing and funneling money. Like, there's just a lot of money being moved. Who oversees all that?
I mean, that's the tricky part, because I mean, profits to hold them accountable, like, we're not giving them no type of money, so it's the people who's giving them like the grants that are technically who's holding them accountable for reporting. That's the tricky part, because even with you know the big foundations, they got like annual reports and things like that they have to do. But as far as holding them accountable, that is tricky.
Or is it the foundations that should be held accountable?
They definitely should. It's just how it's just how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the issue.
Interesting. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking about this, like how everything comes together at the time frame that it comes together. We're actually working on a project where with Katie Whites, that used to be with the Whites Family Foundation, and talk about, she's been very vocal and open about how some of these processes work. Matter of fact, you guys will be looking for it coming up in the next year. It's called The Benevolent Illusion: The Realities of Philanthropy. We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be talking to some folks that are in it. We're going to have some high level conversations with some people with some foundations and people that are actually giving some of the money away, and also some of the foundations and the nonprofit organizations that use the money, and trying to bust it open, break open the game and see what's really going on. So I highly encourage. This is going to be a conversation that we're really going to get deeper into. It's going to be one of the productions that we're working on for 2025, and we will definitely be tapping in with you, Senator McKinney, on a lot of these things, because knowing how they pan out with legislation, with the legislature is something that we need, and also just the what you're talking about. The accountability that needs to be held here, what nonprofit organizations are doing and not doing for our community, and how do you avoid it? Nonprofit town. Back when we started this conversation, I would have said, well, I'm on this stuff that Black Agenda Alliance is talking about, where we have to set up our own things, and we got to find our own funds, and we got to set up our own business, and we got to generate dollars. And then we got cats like you and Senator Wayne that are in the legislature getting the dollars directed to us. And those are the moves that we got to make to do what we got to do. Now I am understanding that part of us doing that, we can't just they won't just leave us alone to go do that on our own. There's actual nonprofits that don't like that that's happening, because they won't be able to do what they're doing and do stuff to actively stop. Like how you described how it worked in Africa, where they drop a bunch of rice on some folks, then the people who selling rice can't sell it. Same thing here. Gwen Easter is a proponent for that. She can't do business watching, taking care of kids here because of the nonprofit kid watching organizations that are being dropped in our neighborhoods, under the guise of this is what we need. So there might be a little bit more that needs to be looked at there. It's not just up to us to do. We also got to kind of fight this while we're doing it, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
I also have to have a lot more discernment, when people come throwing a shiny object in front of us and asking more questions. Like, a lot of it sound good, like with the child care things, like, oh, you bring your kid here, we give you free car seats, free diapers, da 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 da. That all sound good to somebody in poverty.
All right.
That sound good to somebody who's struggling. Like, I don't completely knock those people, and I really don't knock them, because I've been in poverty, I've been poor. I grew up in a household that didn't have a lot. So for those families, it's like, I can't tell them, like, I knock you, because if your baby need a car seat, your baby need a car seat.
Word.
Your baby need diapers, your baby need diapers. So how can we as a community counter those activities in some type of way? That's the struggle.
Yeah, I feel that. Definitely different views inside the chat. I see Kibber is in the chat saying, I'm part of the Empowerment Network fundraising cohort, and the lady facilitating it said one Omaha was only she researched that actually only one she researched that actually had our numbers on our website. Interesting. So this is exactly what I'm on as well. Like, we have Chad Chimers, First Guy Omaha fam, that are running nonprofits that are depending on some of these nonprofit dollars and trying to do some good with them, and actually doing some good with them. Um, that may not be the majority of them. We, like you're saying, though, we, first of all, we can't knock the people that need them and use the situation. We talking more about the organizations than anything, but we also see an oversaturation in nonprofit organizations sometimes. A lot of people don't know that nonprofit organizations are supposed to be there to solve a problem, and after they solve a problem, they're supposed to disappear. Manager Miller Jenkins was saying that earlier. Why can't we hold these people accountable to go ahead and get rid of the thing after the thing is fixed? I mean, a lot of these things you can argue aren't fixed yet, so they continue on. How do we get them fixed? And a question that Buddy always asks: what is the government supposed to be doing? Why do we have such gaps that nonprofit organizations are coming in to solve problems that maybe the government should be helping with, or whatever? How do we?
Well, that's the problem with Nebraska. We're a state that's a huge part of our state feel like we got a western side of the state that don't feel like government should be in their households. And like, when I was, like, before I even got in the legislature and I was doing work on food and security, there's like people in western Nebraska who was against, making sure their kids had free school meals to eat because of their culture. So we got a whole nother side of the state that is culturally different than us, and that is part of the problem. But also, it's like this Nebraska nice feel good type of thing, and they feel as though giving you something through a nonprofit is better than investing in a business.
Mm. Well, it would be, and we can't leave out the fact that giving you something as a nonprofit, they got to give some money away, and they're working the whole tax situation as well. So it's
Yeah,
not.
but that is the trick that they try to pull on us. Not the foundations can invest in businesses. It's just a special. It's something special they got to like clarify, but they can invest in businesses. And I asked like one of the biggest foundation people, uh, and Susie, asked her because after I did the whole interim study on oversaturation, somebody was like, "Oh, she wants to meet with you," and I was like, "Why?" I don't know why, but I met with her, and then she was like, "Well, we don't invest in businesses," and I was like, "Why not?" And she was like, "Because we just don't do that." I was like, "All right, so even if you don't, you still could." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "You're Susie Buffett. What do you mean? You could." It it, it went over her head. Uh,
That's funny.
and I was like, I understand now. But I was like, even if you don't invest a penny, you got so much influence in this city. You could get your friends to invest and help you. Like it would be a different way. And she just didn't understand.
So first of all, from that story, I'm gathering there's no legal reason why a nonprofit, family foundation can't invest in a business. That's just not what they do. That's their own rule on that.
That's what they decide not to do, but they can. It's a legal way to do it.
Matthew Miller Jenkins in the chat is saying we could examine why nonprofit is so prevalent in our communities and industry is prevalent in affluent places. Profit is being kept away intentionally, but framed as assistance.
Mm.
Brother Jahid Shabazz says they perpetuate our poverty and social engineering our children to be mindless automatons and sexual perverts. We're getting deep with it. Uh, lots going on in the chat. I highly suggest you come back and check out the chat. Tony Johnson says need to research and document the composition of boards operating in North Omaha. Too many boards are all white with no one connected to North Omaha.
Mm.
My experience with that too is I've been on boards that weren't all white boards, but also weren't real boards, and nothing was really going on there either. So there needs to be a lot more board education, and just like Kimmer says, what if everybody should be transparent. She says nonprofits should be more transparent about how they spend their money. She says, and if they won't be, why? That's really the kind of the question. So yeah, lots of good stuff that you guys are bringing up, lots of good questions that you're bringing up. Obviously it's going to be an ongoing conversation that we have about this. Like I said, we're continuing the conversation by producing a series of seven events called the Benevolent Illusion: The Realities of Philanthropy. We're going to be talking to Katie Whites. Katie Whites has been a person who has come to us back in the Mind and Soul days trying to do this. She really
Yeah.
was on her mind to say, hey, we gotta make this we gotta bust this open. There's too much misinformation out here. She's like, there's a lot of stuff that is this that's all around the world kind of messed up. There's some help. I've been on the inside of this and can bust open a little bit of shine some light here, and also have access to some folks that can tell us some things as well. And I'll be with her on the panel asking some of these hard questions. So get ready for that, and let get your hard questions ready for me to add to mine,
Yeah.
so that we can really kind of dig deep into this situation, because we are a nonprofit town. That's just what it is, and it's also one thing that we got to worry about on top of everything else: the economic development of our cities, of our areas, building business, but also what it means to to live in such a nonprofit town right next door to a bunch of millionaires that got to get rid of this loot some kind of way.
Man.
And just to put it into perspective, like the Buffetts got to give a lot of money, but there's other like there has to be like $1 billion spent in philanthropic money, close to it every year.
Mm-hmm. Where does
Like,
it go? Who's overseeing it?
yeah,
Where can you research that? Like where is the central place to where is that, documented where that money went?
Yeah,
it's supposed to be in their 990s and all that type of stuff in their annual reports and stuff like that.
true.
But do those go to government agencies or do those go
Yeah,
to
so there's a website. I can't think of the name that you could go research everybody's 990s. I
Okay.
think
You find that, please send that.
I can't think of the name right now. I'm missing it.
Yeah, it's all public information.
You would think it has to be, but again, where it's still not common knowledge.
Right. One more comment, and then we move on. Pop says
Mhm.
we have to wrap our minds around the fact that every organization will be good and bad, having positive and negative ramifications. It's never going to be all good or all bad. We got to live with it. We got to kind of. I feel like we got to kind of work around. We definitely have to work within whatever's going on and also fight it. Let's jump to a solution now. So if we were to say what should we be concentrating on right now in the realm of this conversation? uh I'm leaning towards this idea that we need to continue to build more business, more economic development as far as for-profit businesses are concerned in our neighborhoods. What say you on solutions?
I think that's part of it. I think we got to diversify our business base.
Mhm.
We got to have more diversity of businesses. One, because it's needed, and two, that's how we attract more economic activity in the community. If we only have a certain kind of businesses in our community, the growth isn't going to come. I think we got to find a way to diversify the businesses that we're in and taking part in. But the another part is infrastructure. I think since the riots, North Omaha wasn't rebuilt, so
Mm.
there's a total lack of infrastructure that we got to address. Like if you wanted to just open up an office in North Omaha, it's very difficult to open up an office. If you wanted to go into retail, if you wanted to take your online business into a, a brick and mortar, it's not that it's kind of difficult to find a space, and a space that's affordable, not outdated, that you don't got to renovate yourself. It's a bunch of obstacles and barriers there that we got to address too.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Next season, we hope to have Miss Carmen Tapio on to talk about. She's been an example of somebody who's done some bigger business and more diverse business in our neighborhoods. When I think about
Mhm.
that, there's a lot of folks that's got small businesses, and like you said, they cover some things. I can only buy so many black soaps and stuff like that. Like some other things that we need that we should be spending
Yeah.
our dollars on. And so yeah, I'll be trying to focus a little bit on some of the people that individuals that are doing exactly what you're talking about there, like Skilo Slim, by the way, like
Hey,
that, like that brother right there. We're still waiting on the location of the best burger.
man, see
So
what's
let
up
us
with
know.
that.
He
Yeah.
says we have to start making more essential goods in our community. I have to leave our community to get 98% of things I need.
There you go.
So
There you go.
we can start there.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, yeah, I did want to pivot. There's some reports about the community chiming up about the business park and the Inland Port Authority, and for me, I'm convinced that that is definitely. I see why and the potential of the Inland Port Authority as a vehicle for economic development, specifically in North Omaha. Where is that? I believe last time we met, you said you had some meetings coming up. Have y'all met since we last talked? And where is the whole OEDC business park conversation?
Yeah, we met. As far as that conversation, so the board voted to give them a pre-development not grant, but a pre-development amount of money.
Mm.
That's
Mm,
still it's still being worked out. I voted no, uh,
mm,
because I don't think they deserve it. I don't think they need it. I think their project is lacking in a lot of areas. I think it's still a lot of unanswered questions. So it's still a lot to happen. And my reason for voting no really was because they don't have a plan. Like they legitimately do not have a real plan. The plan that they submitted to DED honestly isn't a viable plan.
mm,
And anybody that asks any questions will realize it's not a viable plan for multiple reasons. A couple of them are phase one of their project has land issues. Phase two of their project, people don't want to move. So that makes the whole plan not viable, to me. And just giving them dollars to mess over is not something I could support or get behind. Um, so we'll see
when you
what
say when you say dollars, how much we talking?
Mm, I think they asked for the pre-development thing to kind of restructure their plan. I think it's about like 7.3 million.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they got it.
No, they haven't got it yet.
Okay.
Still some questions to be asked, and there's still more to come from that. But the other thing is, like, for example, in their plan, they were like, "Oh, we need $100,000 for community engagement," but it does not outline what they plan to do for community engagement.
They ain't got one meeting on the calendar.
And
Man.
I asked the question. I was like, "You can't go nowhere in America or in this city and ask somebody for this amount of money without no plan and no strategy to execute." And I'm just supposed to say yes? Like, that's crazy. Makes no sense. And it's I know they frustrated with me, but I really don't care. I just think they have been dropping the ball the whole time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, having gone through the DED process, and Paul, you can talk about this as far as representing, the mind and soul, and filling out grants.
Man, don't remind me, bro.
Does any black organization get that type of treatment as far as getting money without having a plan and go through not even the least amount of scrutiny? Has that ever happened in your experience, Paul?
As happened in mine, I don't know nobody it has happened to. I think a lot of people in the chat might try to say that a empowerment network is doing that, but I've seen what Willie Barney has gone through personally, and he's also having to jump through a bunch of hoops all the time. He got relationships that are ongoing and it's different than a lot of other organizations got. But that don't mean that he ain't black, bro. I'm just saying it like that. Like I'm seeing some firsthand stuff of how they be treating black organizations, whoever they are, even the ones they say they're in cahoots with. I see it, and it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. Um, we the I mean, just think of what just happened with the presidential race, how they dug into her situation so hard. Like while Trump is up here talking about he ain't got no plan. Like it to me, that's what it all looks like. It looks like that all the time. Like we always gotta jump through a bunch of hoops. Senator McKinney just said it earlier. They only trust white organizations to do stuff like hand out money to black folks. They ain't you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I asked that because I am curious, like how OEDC got the grant and how OEDC got this far without, as you say, having a plan.
Well, they got the grant because they submitted it to DED and DED accepted it. And I got a lot of words I could say about DED and how they dropped the ball and messed up the whole process. And I could go all day about that. That's how it happened.
They
They
feeling under pressure.
they signed a contract with DED, but DED really didn't want to keep oversight of it, so it got moved to the Port Authority, and now we have oversight, and that's our job is to kind of hold them accountable.
Mm. And like I hope they do. There's been some stuff that OEDC has done over the years. Like we don't always agree with everything that's happening, but like Pop said earlier, there's some good that goes down too. So I really feel like I hope that what they do is, instead of being adversarial about it, follow your lead on it, because that could make it easier for people in the community to accept some things, or to deal with them better if they just
Well,
followed your lead.
well the problem is they're so used to business as usual in North Omaha. Like certain questions I asked, they'd be like, "Why? We've always done it this way."
Mm.
That's what I'm getting at.
And they've been allowed to get away with doing nothing for our community for so long. Like,
So what I'm getting at.
if you survey the properties that they own in North Omaha and look at them, you would be more frustrated. And that's the problem. They've been able to get away with just not doing anything. And finally, you know, I'm somebody's holding them accountable or trying to hold them accountable as much as possible. I'm only one person, one vote, but try to be as vocal as possible about how I feel about them and feel about that project.
Yeah. Well, somebody in the chat said, you can't be the only one, bro. We got to step up and do some stuff, and hold people accountable and all that stuff too. So Next time we get together, hopefully we can continue to talk about those things, solutions there, what we could do to all kind of team up and do that, what we can, what we can put out there and ask, what we can do just in general. Because I think you're right. I'm sitting here thinking about my personal experience with them, and I got a lot of folks that was renting buildings, and then the rent went up on them, and they had to move. So
Man.
just that alone,
I was just talking to somebody that's in one of their buildings that's very frustrated with them. So I'm
yeah,
not too surprised.
yeah. We reached out before. Next season, we'll try to continue to reach out and talk to somebody from OEDC, bring them on and ask some questions and so on and so forth. And we'll continue to do that. And everybody else, man, I can tell that next season is really going to be a lot of talking about some of this economic situation here and what we can do. A lot of good suggestions. I highly suggest everybody go back and check out all the chats in the Facebook and YouTube, on both Facebook and YouTube, because there's it's going off in both areas, and a lot of explanations here, a lot of good comments, and a lot of good questions. And we appreciate your time coming on, answering some of those, giving us some more insights. Like I say, every time you come on, I walk away knowing way more than I thought I was gonna learn in that day. So I appreciate you. And again, we'll just keep up with each other on fighting the good fight, figuring out what we can do to help you do what you're doing, because I think we're all in alignment with how you doing things.
No problem, man. And thank y'all for having me. And thanks for inviting me here. I really appreciate it. And everybody, I wish y'all nothing but a good week and, a rest of the year. So thank you.
Hold on, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We'll
sir.
see you. We'll
We're
see
going.
you out and about. Go ahead.
Well, I just say we're going on break, so just happy holidays to you. Enjoy time with the fam, and hopefully we'll see you next year.
Yep.
We'll see you in the streets before that. I'm quite sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
man.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right. Peace.
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 All right. Appreciate it. Oh,
Man.
Jahisha Bassett, call me Senator. People reaching out. Appreciate it. RG, that's the good old boy system. Why we've always done it this way. We've heard that before.
Man.
Kimmer says, I guess that's my question. How do you say actual legislation happening this next session? How do you see it? Do you see our incoming senators being able to legislate with these Western senators? I got a little hope for the dynamic duo. I'm hoping that they can get some. I mean, if you look back at what Senator Wayne and Senator McKinney did in this past few years, they got a lot accomplished. That I don't think was that kind of movement was happening right before that. I'm hoping it'll continue. I think it will. But like he always says, that's not all we need. That's one facet of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Roundtree. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But yes, Senator Ashley Spivey. We already talked to her about coming on to the show regularly. We'll be able to ask her some questions.
Yeah.
So new dynamic duo coming up.
We haven't really talked about it, but it's a lot of new senators, in the legislature. So it is kind of interesting to see how certain policies will be approached. What policies will be introduced. It's gonna be very interesting session coming up next year.
Yep. Appreciate everybody's comments. We'll take a quick break, a little breather, and we'll come back and continue the rest of the show. We got about 7 minutes left in the show. We'll talk about a few haps. Yeah, man. And a few things that we'll get to.
Quick.
It did, man. It did. We knew early this morning. We picked them subjects. We was gonna be like, it's gonna be one of them kind of days today.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
This people, especially you, the First Guy fam that come on, and are regulars on this show and come through, and some of the ghost listeners and stuff. Like we heard you be fired up about these subjects here the whole time we've been doing this, and so we're finally gonna get to this thing, man. Hopefully, I'm envisioning next season of really trying to get some folks on, talk to them, organize some groups. Just be a help to Senator McKinney. But more than that, man, we see what the Black Agenda Alliance is doing. We finally did get some of that money from DED to come through to the community. So there's going to be more economic development happening on that tip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got soldiers out here like Gwen Easter that's fighting the fight on nonprofit organizations coming in and wrecking business in our, you know what I'm saying? Like I can see the different arms and the different facets here. of what the fight could be. So we're just gonna keep on trying to continue to provide the information for your action plan.
Man.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back, finish it out. First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B.
Paul B.
He's Buddy the God.
Man, I need to get me a new chair.
Stay tuned. We'll order one, bro. Oh, First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Man, that was the latest one yet.
Yeah, your whole accent just threw me off. I don't know why you kind of came in. I thought you were about to start rapping.
I felt like I was about to drop a verse. That beat had me inspired. He had me inspired.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's banging.
Thank you.
Rocking in the air. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Shout out. That's Buddy the Guy's beat right there, ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen. Man, hot topics today. Appreciate everybody's input. And everybody stayed on through the 8 o'clock hour to have this discussion. What it is. Stacey Jean said, indeed, wars are fought on many fronts. Yep. We got all we rocking the fronts. We trying to rock
and the backs, all that.
Man, all in the side to side.
Yeah, man.
Kimber says, I spent a lot of time at state legislature myself, not as a senator, but still in the world. That's what we need. We need more folks that necessarily have to be a senator to be at the legislature making some difference. So yeah, we definitely have to. It's boost to the roots time too, all the time. We got to get going. Mike Lee said, "Okay, Paul, we dropping the mixtape next season."
All right,
you should say that.
All right.
Next season, we will do a little bit of talking about next season. On our final show of the season Wednesday, about some of the stuff that's going on. We already talked about one thing that we're working on really, really heavily right now. Speaking of that nonprofit world, bro.
Get into it.
Benevolent Illusion, the realities of philanthropy with Katie Whites and myself, Paul B. Allen IV. It's going down. There'll be some episodes that are coming up. It's going to be one of them. We're making it into one of those don't miss events.
Man.
7 episodes we're working on to kind of bust this thing open, break it open, talk to the folks, and hopefully have the information that we need to navigate or to fight or to do whatever needs to be done living in the city that we're living in and dealing with what we got to deal with.
Man,
in a good way or a bad way, like both ways, always.
Yeah, and a lot of you had a lot to say, about the nonprofit situation, and in today's episode, we'd like to see that energy continue. If you have questions, definitely get them ready. There will be opportunity to ask those questions directly, actually. So yeah, we're working on that. Very excited about that situation.
Word up, RG3. I'm gonna just call him RG3 because he be hollering about that 3 hour.
Man, about that third one.
Say, look, y'all got 3 minutes left for 9. Just with that third, my man is 3:33 in the thirds, ain't he? RG3 trying to get that third hour going. We are making some changes for next season as well. Like I said, I will talk more about that on our Wednesday show. But yeah, we're gonna be breaking some things down, man. We realize that this is a good platform for us to be able to reach out and talk to folks about what's going on in the news, have that discussion so we can reach some areas of information that allow us to act. And but we also got to do some more acting, and we also got to do some more relaying of some information that is being lost on folks as well. Education is getting ready to be a very huge part of what it is we do. Edutainment, by the way, and also content creator camp coming up this next year as well. We definitely are still trying to build that army of citizen journalists to really kind of get busy. So shout out to everybody who's been digging in, and some of the volunteers, some of the people that we're trying to work with on doing some new stuff coming up next season. and all that good stuff. So I appreciate that very much. Also, Imagine Miller Jenkins is saying, want to throw back out there the Central Park had a look-alike contest for the UHC shooter instead of giving NYPD leads. She's talking about the general unserious nature of our country right now. This is all in the news. This dude laid in wait to assassinate a CEO, and the world is just like, all right then, because they're so mad at the healthcare system and so on and so forth. Man died, and there's a killer running loose, but they're trying to act like they're like he's some kind of
Hero.
it struck me as that too. Like I'm glad that you brought it up, Imagine Miller Jenkins, because like it struck me as that too. Like they acting like this is a movie. This man that went out here and killed somebody, and he's running around loose
They had a lookalike
with
contest.
Monopoly money in his backpack. Yeah, it'll look like contest. Women are online talking about how cute he is. The jacket that he wore is selling out right now because everybody's ordering the jacket that he wore. Like the general kind of attitude is, well, this CEO that he killed is in healthcare, and the healthcare guy has killed many of us because of the healthcare industry, and we don't care. And it's a trip. Buddy, you were saying something about there was a Nebraska connection.
Yeah, if I was going to ask, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that guy living in Nebraska?
No, I didn't see anything about that anywhere. I was looking for some that connection that you were speaking of. I was looking for it, and I was hoping that when we came on, that we had that on the list here, but I didn't see it. But anyway, yeah, it's that'd be a trip if it was. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's just I just kind of want to leave it there. It's after 9 o'clock already. Anyway, I want to leave it there. I agree with Measure Miller Jenkins on the fact that
Minnesota.
it's such a unserious. We're in a time where it's just like throw them to the wolves.
Man, yeah, I mean, people ready to devour the rich, if you will. Which it is interesting being that Omaha is so heavy in the health industry. Mutual of Omaha, yeah, very very interesting.
Yeah, this is a health town in a big way. Measure Miller Jenkins says just because they don't hold guns doesn't mean they don't murder thousands. Class solidarity, my friends. Feel that.
I understand.
Absolutely. But it did surprise me the attitude of people the attitude of people are taking about this guy who killed somebody. Like
Yeah, like
it's funny.
RG says, man, folks do not care about the USC CEO getting got.
Interesting times we live in. Scary
Man,
times, like Anthony Rogers Wright said. Scary times in the whole world.
man,
So hopefully we can hold ourselves together and take care of each other. So that
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really all
Hope
we
we,
can do.
hope we don't devolve into devouring each other, and the war of class. But it wouldn't be the first time in human history, unfortunately.
A lot of people think we at the end. It's like the fall of the Roman Empire going on right now. A lot of
Man,
people
I'm
think
hearing that a lot.
Yep.
Hearing that a lot. So,
Yep.
take care of your loved ones, take care of yourselves, drink lots of water. Speaking of times that we're in, RG asking for that third hour. I don't know, Paul, what you think about that on Wednesday? What you
Possibly. I'm trying to cram in the guests that would not I'm trying to put the pressure on them now. Like, look, we got one more
Mhm.
show. You said you was coming through, come through. So if we can get everybody who we need to get on that day, we might have to extend it an hour or two because I would really like to do that before we end the season out. We'll see. We got brother Kasim coming for sure. He's a sure in
Yeah.
for the Wednesday show. We got to talk about Kwanzaa coming up and a few other things. So brother Kasim is on deck,
Yep.
and
Also, got the sisters from the Skurlock Sports Academy coming through.
Skurlock Sports Academy coming through. So it's already two guests. So yeah, if we get one more, we might have to go that third hour in a big way. So we will absolutely see. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to reach out to Hassani Lee and see if
Man,
Hassani Lee to come back in and tell us
big
about this
time.
court date that he got coming up as well. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, just want to remind people we're still selling shirts. Part of the proceeds go to the Underwood Tenant Group. The Fight the Power shirts are still on deck. The OG First Sky T-shirts are kind of selling out. They're kind of limited edition First Sky tees. They're selling out pretty good, and we only got a few of the First Sky Omaha logo shirts left, but we're gonna get more of those because we need to keep those on deck at all time. But as far as the OG First Sky shirt and the Fight the Tower shirt, part of the proceeds go to the Underwood Tennis Group. Hopefully, we'll be able to check in with Brother Hassani Lee when we before we get out of here this season. And even if we don't, we're going to check in with him anyway and might do an impromptu show during the break or something like that because we really need to catch up with him. There's the link to the shop, firstsky.omaha.com. While you're there, I highly suggest you check out the articles, check out the new site. Everything that we've been working on is happening right now there. Oh, check you out, man. Got it on now. Fight the towers. You got to
Fight the towers.
Going down. So, yeah, appreciate everybody who's already purchased shirts. There's a couple people in the chat that was like, I need all 3. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And I promise I'll get some big boy sizes here in the next batch as well. I can even wear a couple of them. So, yeah, we definitely will get some big boy sizes next for y'all and all that good stuff, too. Appreciate
Big bag.
Yeah. Sounds good. Mike Lee in the chat said, hopefully it starts a real conversation about the healthcare insurance systems because there are hundreds of Americans dying daily simply because we cannot afford or don't have healthcare. I don't say I don't blame them. I understand the reason why people are acting like they're acting about this murder. Pop said he said United Healthcare is my carrier, so he got that's his carrier. So
man,
you know what I mean? It's hitting close to home on a whole bunch of different levels. When I'm sitting here right now with no insurance. So you know what I'm saying? Like
that's so expensive, man.
It's a hot mess, bro. It's a hot mess.
Man.
Any other developed country already has this taken care of. We are the only ones sitting here going through this mess because capitalism.
There you go. Marlon Harrison says the UHC CEO is or was involved, and he says but I'm thinking many. Let me know. Class action lawsuits from denying care from many people of color to denying access for people in the LGBT community. A lot of people dying as a result of these decisions.
Crazy. Appreciate all your comments. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, buddy. You got some words for the people?
Yeah, big time. Shout out to Senator Terrell McKinney. Put some respect on his name for taking the time to speak with us. As always, dropping some gems and just being honest, being real with us. We need that. It's refreshing to have that type of representation, man. So yeah, big time. Big shout out. Excited to see what Brother Senator Terrell McKinney and Sister Senator Ashley Spivey do in the legislature next year, and many of the other new legislators coming on, man. Again, there's opportunity to make some change, so let's get active. Let's educate ourselves. Let's keep the conversation going. And in the meantime, between time, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones. Reminder: next episode, next Wednesday, is the last episode of the season. Last one of the season, last one of the year, and then we're going on break for a little bit to get some other things done, man. So with that, Paul B,
yo,
take it away.
Right on, man. Again, appreciate everybody. Pop says, thanks for starting our week off right. Much love to see you on Wednesday. Appreciate you, Pops. Like we said, we have the Skurlock family that's going to be on Wednesday, along with our brother Kasim is coming too, and hopefully a few more. So RG3 might get his 3rd hour on that day. We'll see. Appreciate that. Just appreciate everybody who's joined us here. Stacey Jean says, great show, fellas. I learn something new every day.
Thank you.
So do I, man. I appreciate that. Shout out to Senator Terrell McKinney, man, doing that work, digging deep. Appreciate it. And everybody else who digs deep, man. Kimra Snipes in the chat right now. She's one that I really look to as far as her research and stuff is concerned as well. She's really kind of fighting a good fight, doing a good work, working within the system. And staying true, not selling out to the system, working within it. And there's a lot of people like that are genuine and authentically out here trying to do some really good things. So appreciate that. She said everybody's trying to get. Look, we're gonna get out of here.
No.
Shout out to the Umaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before you. And shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. And for you guys for being great chat chimers, people who are absolutely being respectful and going with our style of using the chat like we're speaking face to face to each other. Appreciate the respect level. Appreciate everybody who is contributing well thought out arguments, well thought out questions, well thought out well thought out comments and research as well. It really enhances everything that we're trying to do here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. This is not Channel 7. I'll tell you
Man,
that.
come to death row.
Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Do us a favor. You could also share the show, even if the show is over. Share it on your page. Let as many people see it as possible so we can get more like-minded individuals in the chat to be able to have a discussion, like-minded or not like-minded. Like-minded in the area of being able to just have a conversation where we can kind of respect each other and really kind of work on changing each other's minds about some things in a respectful way. So we can kind of get on the same page, man. We're all trying to take care of each other, and that's the whole vibe here. It's about the love supreme. We're going to keep on doing it, and we appreciate everybody who's on that journey with us as well. Thanks to the people who are the reoccurring members of the channel as well. The $10 people, the $25 people, the $50 people. Thank you so much. If you have not donated to the cause and you feel like you want to, please hit us up at First Sky Omaha and hit the join button.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, and become a reoccurring member of the channel as well. We are always looking to you, the people, and we the people, so that we can really kind of just take care of our own thing. As you heard, where we're at when it comes to being a for-profit organization. In order for us to be able to keep control, we're able to utilize nonprofit news dollars, but the majority of our business has to come from our own pockets, which is the reason why we both have other jobs to try to keep this thing going. So we want to continue that. We want to expand. We want to continue to deliver news, some education, some edutainment, and all those good things. If you find it valuable, then please become a recurring member of the channel so we can put more into it, bring on more reporters and more citizen reporters, especially. Shout out to Marlon Harrison doing his thing. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Gwen Easter has laid on us the longest comment that she's ever done, and that's saying something. So please definitely check it out. We can talk more about some of this. We'll definitely continue to talk about the situation with the Buffetts trickling down the money. For real. In the meantime, between time, you guys take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.
By the way, Vanglorious, this is protected by the red, the black, and the green.